So Debbie and I have just finished the harvest, and so it's time for another Gardening Week podcast and video. And you might notice that the grow lights are on behind me, and that means I'm growing seedlings again in the conservatory, and it's really nice to be surrounded again by all my little plants. And this year I think during winter I'm going to be a bit more playful with the things that I grow under my lights. I've got lights here, I've got lights in the garage, and I've got lights actually above one of the wardrobes in one of the bedrooms. And so I've got quite a few lights. So I won't probably be using the ones in the garage over winter because it's still a bit too cold, but I'll be using the others. What I'm going to be doing is just trying lots of different timings for a few different things. So for example, I want to do some radish and turnips. I want to do them earlier than I've ever done before and see if I can get a nice early crop of those. I'm going to try obviously things like spring onions and peppers and chili peppers and the like. And one of the advantages of doing that is I've got a lot of seeds left over from last year, and a lot of people say, well, you can't really keep peppers over winter, pepper seeds, and use them the next year. I'm going to have a go, and if any of them do germinate, then that'll be useful, and I'll use those for my early crop. And if they don't, then nothing lost, because I wouldn't normally start anything that early in December. So just a few things, just play around, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just liven up my winter a little bit from a gardening perspective. What I'm also planning to do are just a few more regular videos during the week to kind of show you what life is like as a gardener over winter, and just kind of give you a better impression of the sort of things I do. And as a result of that, I might not do this gardening week video because I'll be doing these regular ones. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll still have my diary entry if you want to just skim through that. So my week starts on Sunday, and on Sunday actually when I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning I had the worst migraine. It took me 20 minutes to pluck up the courage to actually move out of the bed and get some painkillers. It was pretty grim. And eventually when I got some pain meds and some special migraine medication, I did manage to get out of the house and just chilled out in a cafe for a couple of hours until the last of the migraine had kind of dissipated. That's about 10 o'clock. And I went to the allotment, and one of the jobs I really don't like at this time of year is clearing up all the leaves. So we get a lot of leaf fall from the trees, and basically the beds at the back of my allotment are just covered with leaves, and so all the plants are sort of growing through these leaves. There's masses of slugs underneath them. It really annoys me, and it takes forever to clear the beds of the leaves and still keep the plants intact. So anyway, I worked my way through all the beds and raked all the leaves off the paths, and I don't actually have any space to do proper leaf composting, which is a bit frustrating because obviously leaves are a fantastic compost material. I've done it in the past, but unfortunately I don't have space now. I need it all for compost. In fact, I've got 3 cubic meters of compost cooking at the moment. So what I do is I've got lots of black plastic bags, and I just put the leaves in all those bags, and I pour loads of water in there, seal up the plastic bags and punch a few holes in, air holes, and just leave them. And I'll leave them now for about 9 months or so. And after 9 months, they won't be fully composted, but they will have started to break down. And at that point, I will add them into my compost bin as my source of browns. I don't often have enough browns in autumn, so it's quite useful to have these leaves for that purpose. And then about 9 months later, that compost will be ready and those leaves will have broken down. It takes about 18 months when you do it like that. So as I mentioned, that is not my favourite job. It took about 3 hours to do all that, but I got it done. And the plot looks so much better when it's cleared up like that. And all the leaves now are gone from all of the trees that surround me. So hopefully I won't be doing it again for a long time. So on Monday, a friend came round and we went for a walk along the coast to Lytham. It's about 3.5 miles. And it's a great walk. It's along the beach most of the way, and then through kind of salt marshes, and then around Fairhaven Lake, which is a little lake, nice little local beauty spot. and then along Lytham Promenade, and there's this amazing windmill there right on the prom, and you get this fantastic sunrise behind it if you're lucky. And then if you kind of loop around, there's a nice little forest trail to take you back to our house. And that's pretty much the only woodland in the local area. You have to kind of drive, I don't know, maybe 20 miles from here to get any other forest. So pretty precious place for us. As we were walking, we were talking about seasonal affectiveness disorder, and I mentioned this on the video last week, and how, you know, I've been suffering a bit from SAD, and I don't suffer from it very badly. You know, I just notice my mood just drops a kind of notch, maybe from, I'm generally quite a optimistic and happy sort of person, so I would generally set myself at about a 9, and I probably dropped to about 7 on sort of cloudy, dreary days, and I definitely notice the drop. So I've been looking at what I can do about it. As I said, I mentioned it on last week's video, and a few people said, well, maybe you should consider getting one of these SAD lights. Now these have a light intensity of about 10,000 lux, and one lux is effectively the light energy associated with one candle 1 meter away from a 1 meter square. So it's the amount of light that's falling on 1 meter square from one candle that's 1 meter away. And so a 10,000 lux light, in theory, will be the equivalent of 10,000 candles falling on 1 meter squared, 1 meter away. When I actually got the light, I bought one for about £30 off Amazon, and I tested it with the light meter on my phone, and the lux that the phone was seeing was about 3,000. So I was pretty pleased with that, because when I tested the lux level outside, it was somewhere in about 1,000. So it was about 3 times what I was getting outside on a cloudy day. I also tested in the polytunnel, and on that cloudy day, the lux level was about 900, I think, something like that. I've got a little table I put up with all these lux levels. What was interesting, though, was to see how it changed during the week, and on a fairly sunny day, the lux level was 30,000 on the promenade. So that's 10 times what I was getting from the satellite, and it was 30 times what I was getting outside on a cloudy day. So you can see the difference, it's huge. And later on in the week, I think it was Thursday, maybe it was Friday, it was a really sunny day, and on the promenade there, the light level, the lux level, was 68,000 lux. So that's 68 times the light level that I was getting outside on a cloudy day. And you can see from those figures the huge difference that you're getting on a sunny day compared to a cloudy day at this time of year. And you know, even with one of these SAD lights, you know, you're still getting 20 times the light level outside on a sunny day. So it is no panacea, but I did notice a little bit of an improvement, I think. Whether it was just a placebo effect, I'm not sure. But anyway, I've got this little light now, and I look into it while I'm brushing my teeth in the morning and doing my balancing exercises and things. So I get it for about 5 minutes first thing in the morning as soon as I wake up, and I get some, you know, generally bright light, as bright as I can get it with the grow lights as well, for the first sort of 10-15 minutes, and then I'm outside walking in the dark, so that is not ideal, but I do try and watch the sunrise, which makes all the difference. So on Tuesday I got some gardening done again, and my main objective actually was to pot on all of my next succession of my next succession of spring brassicas. So I'd got some snowball cauliflowers and some calabrese, so I got those potted on. So I've now got 3 successions of those, and so they should come ready in April, maybe about mid-April, beginning of May, end of May. I've got 1 more succession of calabrese. They should come beginning of June or end of May. outside. The rest of them will be in the polytunnel, and I've got some spring cabbages and bits and pieces like that. So that is it now for me for early brassicas, all sown. The next sowing that I'll do will be somewhere in the region of the middle of February, and those are the ones that I'll harvest in June, and obviously carries on as normal. My mornings are a lot of fun now because I get to look after my granddaughter for a couple of hours, and she's dropped off at the health club. And so after I've been swimming and had a sauna and all that sort of thing, I take her, put her in the carrier, and we go out for a nice hike for an hour or so, and then we go to a cafe, and then we play some games and all that sort of thing. So it's a really lovely way to start the day for me. And so I've got her 3 days a week, and she absolutely loves being outdoors. She's 8 months old. She's at that sort of age where she just, everything that moves is incredibly exciting for her. So she's just so much fun to be around, and she absolutely loves dogs, and she met horses for the first time, and obviously she thought they were just big dogs with people riding on them. She was so excited by them, and she got to stroke their noses and all that. And she loves going through the woods, and she loves walking through the sand dunes with the marram grass all sort of, swaying in the breeze and all of that sort of thing. She loves the clouds. It is just, she makes you realise how amazing it is to be alive. To her off with her mum, I took up some of my old cherry trees. Now these trees, I don't know, they're sort of 20 odd years old, and they've been in containers for all of that time. And so the containers are pretty much solid root mass. So getting these trees, which is they're not cropping very well now, out of the containers was really difficult. In the end, I had to saw all the way around, saw out the root mass basically. I've left most of the root in though, because I think it'll rot down and feed the next generation of plants. So now I think what we've got on the side on the drive is we've got pears, plums, apples and cherries. So quite a nice selection of things. And I'm gradually going to be replacing the cherry trees that are down there. And because I've got cherry trees on the allotment, I've got cherry trees in the back garden. So as those trees mature, I won't need the ones on the drive anymore. And it just allows me to have a new selection of different varieties of pears and plums and things like that. So I'm quite excited for that transition. And it's nice to have new things growing. So one of the changes I decided to make this year is that I wanted to try and use autumn and winter as an opportunity to really get ahead for next year. What I found this year, well in all previous years, was that March, April and May is just spring basically. It's just too busy. I'm really working hard on the garden at a time when really I want to be out hiking and cycling and holidaying and all of that sort of thing. So I'm trying to use this period of time to get ahead. And so one of the things that I really wanted to do this year, and I did on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, is get the patio really well kind of cleaned and cleared. So again, we get a lot of leaves into the back garden at this time of year. So I got all those leaves up, and I moved all the containers, swept up behind all the containers, and then I treated the whole of the patio for algae, and I moved all the containers back again, and it was took forever. And anyway, so that is all done. So the patio's all done, the lawn's all done, all the beds are weeded, etc, etc. So I feel like I'm really getting ahead. And one of the things I find is that when I'm ahead of things, it doesn't matter how much I've got to do in a way. It's just a feeling of being ahead of things, ahead of plan. I find incredibly relaxing, and I just, I highly recommend it. It's so much better than feeling that you're kind of overwhelmed with stuff to do. And as I say, it's not so much the amount of stuff I have to do, because I still have loads of stuff to do. It's just that feeling that actually I'm ahead of plan. And because I'm ahead of plan, I can just take time off whenever I want to and enjoy the good weather, etc. So highly recommend getting ahead of things. So it's working well for me this year. On Friday, there was the most amazing sunrise. So we always get good sunrises here at this time of year, but this one was just a stunner. And so I got a little video for you so you can see what that lawn looked like. What made it extra special though was that there was a full moon and the moon was setting in the west at the same time as the sun was rising in the east. So it was perfectly paired. They were just, one was rising, one was setting. And of course the light from the sun was shining on the moon, so the moon was really bright and looked huge because it was so low down in the sky. And although obviously when you take a photo of it, it's a tiny little thing and you can't believe it looks so big in real life, but that's optical illusions for you. And Willow and I were out in the dunes again, and then in the afternoon I kind of had a walk around my plot, and at the moment I'm looking for anything that's kind of underperforming that I think I can get replaced with something more productive in the next month or so. I've got quite a lot of stuff growing, and so lots of things that will be ready in the next 2 or 3 weeks for planting out. And the best contender right now was a bed of turnips. Now, when I planted these, I was already thinking that they wouldn't stand much of a chance of maturing before winter hits. And when winter hits, they just don't grow, so that, you know, they won't root up. You get a little bit of leaf growth, but you won't get any roots. And unfortunately, they also got caterpillars. And so a lot of the leaf growth that they did get was eaten, and they were just starting to regrow. But anyway, I decided there was no way I was going to get any roots off them. Plus I've got loads of turnips in the polytunnel right now, so I don't really need them. I'm going to have plenty to get me through until winter. And then, as I say, they won't grow until spring. And when they do start growing in spring, they basically just go straight to seed. So again, no root growth. So anyway, I pulled all of those up, and the tiny turnips that they were, obviously I harvested those and we will eat those. But all the rest of them went to chickens. And so in their place, I had 2 spare trays. I got a spare tray of spinach, giant winter, and a spare tray of lettuce, Grenoble red. So I got those planted, and they are still really useful. So spinach and lettuce planted this late will be ready for harvest in probably late March, I should think. And they'll continue to be harvested all the way through until May, when my January, February sown plants are ready. So it's a nice way of getting a good succession going. So I was pretty pleased to get that bit of space productive. I got one other bed that's empty. Actually, I've got an empty bed right now, but I don't think I'll be planting that one up until February time, maybe even March, which is very unusual for me. I do like to have all my beds planted, but just this one bed for whatever, well, actually there was a good reason. It was covered in leaves, so I just couldn't really get to it to plant anything in it. And I figured that if I did try and plant anything in it, the next day it would be covered with leaves again. And so, you know, it was just hopeless. So next year I'll have to think about what I can do to make that bed a little bit more productive. I think the best thing to do would be to plant something that doesn't mind leaves falling on it. So that would be something like purple sprouting broccoli, which gets planted in July and is then going to be nice big plants, you know, bigger than that, like up here off camera, by autumn. And so those leaves are not going to harm those plants at all. So I think that's a better use for that bed. It did previously have beetroot in it. Harvested those beetroot in late September, and it's kind of, what can you plant in late September when it's underneath a tree dropping tons of leaves on it? So on Saturday, today, it's harvest day, and yeah, oh, what a great harvest. I'll just show you the harvest. So here's the harvest for the week. It's looking quite nice. Quite a big increase actually from last week, which is kind of what we like to see now, and hopefully will continue to increase for a few weeks, and then it'll start to decline as we head towards the shortest day, and then it'll stay low, but we'll be taking more from store through until about the middle of February. So we'll see how that dips down, how we cope during that period. But we've got potatoes from the store, beetroot and onions from the store. There'll be garlic from the store and things like that as well. Turnip greens, Brussels sprouts, spinach, loads of spinach actually. So there's, yeah, the field bean tops, more spinach there, Claytonia for the salads. those leeks, the Jerusalem artichokes, the cooking carrots, the turnips, the radishes, the pak choy and tatsoi, and the parsnips. More pak choy and tatsoi, and all those mixed brassica leaves. And one of many Crown Prince squash. Again, we've got enough of those hopefully to see us through until May. And then all the salad ingredients. I've shown you some salad ingredients already, but this whole table is salads, salads underneath the salads, salad onions, salad onion tops, and salad carrots. So I'm going to sort those salad mixes out now, add tomatoes, grapes, radishes and all of that. Okay, there's all the salad mixes. Obviously we didn't grow the cheese and the tomatoes or the grapes in that. So I did do a little video of the harvest process as well, so if you want to see that and actually see how I harvest and see the beds I'm harvesting from and things like that, take a look at yesterday's video. Anyway, I think I'm done. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.